say that's for sure. Not a stranger to this life. Gotta save this mother pregnant and a shoulder full of stripes. Don't know a nigga like myself. I say self-made, meaning I design myself. Carry chill fame.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
And welcome to the Marlon vs. Marlon podcast. And I'm your boy Marlon.
And I'm your boy Marlon.
Join us as two childhood friends go back and forth, argue, fight, debate, and sometimes maybe even agree on everything from sports to pop culture and everything in between.
All right, today's episode we have a special guest, former Pro Bowler Terrence McGee joins us. He used to play for the Buffalo Bills, so he will.
Oh, we live, baby.
We live, yes. So he will join us. We will get into some KD versus Michael Rappaport drama, some NFL draft, NBA too as well. But let's go ahead and start with the college basketball tournaments that recently wrapped up over the past few days. And I think that the last time we'll start with the women and we'll get into the men. So Stanford came through, and I think I will say this: as far as the women's game, the past 2 rounds or so, all of the matches have been really, really good, solid matches. So I just want to shout out to the women for just having some great competitive basketball, and some of the, not to say all of the men's games weren't as great, but I feel like all the women's games, there wasn't really a blowout within the past few rounds. So definitely shout out to them.
Well, the finals, they won by 1. It was looking like it was going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it was one. But and even going back to the matchup before that with UConn and Arizona, and I just think that Paige didn't even come out that whole game.
Nah,
so
she can't come out.
And she needed to stay in. She needed to stay in, and they played McDonald, played some great defense on her, and ended up, she still had like 22 points, which Paige is going to get you a solid 20, like without even trying. So that's just inevitable. But the defense that McDonald and some of the other looks were able to do on Paige, I think that's what definitely led them to get that victory and go to the final.
And the basketball guys wasn't letting them steal another game. Let's call a spade a spade.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Dictionary, young Dago should have been at the free throw line to win it. The refs just miss a call. And people say, oh, they miss calls all throughout the game, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. I don't care. You can't miss that call at the end of the game.
It was bad. It definitely was bad. And yeah, like you said, it weren't on our side. Carrington was your last name, right?
Yeah, Carrington.
Yeah, so, and I mean, shout out to that team. That team was just as good and physical with UConn as they could be. And that's what set them away. And they had a lot of great weapons, too, that they put on Paige. And Paige still was able to go and still do what Paige does. But yeah, I mean...
And shout out to the Carrington family. They all big time. And Dago Darren went to Oregon, played on
okay.
I don't know if they won a national championship or it was close to it that year, but then he went on to Utah, played well, wide receiver out there. So, shout out to all the Carringtons.
Yeah.
Southeast babies.
So that was obviously a great game. And then as we look into just with Stanford, I mean, they played with McDonald, as great as defense that she played on Paige. I feel like that's what they did with her, with McDonald. So even though McDonald, I think she still had like 22, 24 points or whatever, but, getting those different looks. And Russell Wilson, he's been at every game. Shout out to him and his sister. And then Williams, I forget her first name, but just putting different looks on McDonald. So, and I think this was Stanford's first win since 92, I believe. So pretty crazy. But speaking of first wins, Texas, the state of Texas, the state of Texas hadn't won a championship, I think, since like 1970 or something like that. So
they just was waiting for me to get here. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. Now it's Cowboys' turn.
Oh boy. But yeah, and speaking of physical, how Baylor was physical, the women's Baylor, the men were just as physical. Suggs got into some foul trouble.
Yeah.
Early, so that obviously got him out. And sometimes too, whenever you're down by 10, 15 points, you can kind of inch back. But if that team gets hot and get that lead back to 15, 16, 17, 18, it's almost impossible to dig yourself out that hole.
Man, listen. Baylor has low-key been disrespected all season long.
And not to mention COVID too. They had a lot of COVID
interruptions
issues. Yeah.
And I mean, let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Gonzaga's path to the Final Four and even to the championship game was tailor-made for how they played. They didn't have to play anybody with a opposing style to theirs. Like, you know what I mean? The big man Timmy had his way the whole tournament. Yeah, Suggs made the big shot against UCLA, but all the teams that they played against were very similar to how they played. And Baylor just turned it up a notch. They got 3 guards that go at you, and I love what their coach Drew said. He was saying they basically have an 8-man starting rotation. There's nothing that drops off from their top 8.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a rotation like that, it's really tough because the intensity they played with didn't fall off when they went to the bench. The shooting didn't fall off when they went to the bench. The defense didn't fall off. Everything was still right there on that par throughout the game. There was no let-ups. Yes, it's a game of runs. So Gonzaga made a couple 8-point skirts, 5-7-point runs, but ultimately they just answered with big shots, big buckets. So shout out to Baylor, man. I know I should have came here a couple years ago. Texas would have probably had one sooner, but we here now, baby.
Yeah. And then shout out to that shot that he made, and I want to give a huge shout out to UCLA for 11 seed with. I mean, you got to play to the final when the clock hits 0, but they were just a few seconds or a half a second or whatever away from making it to the championship game. So,
speaking of that play, when Shusang made that shot, he missed the first one. I was saying before he went, he's going too early. You want to give yourself enough time to get the offensive rebound and put back, which he did.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw there was 3.3 seconds left, I looked at the homie and said, it's over.
Yeah.
Because with 3 seconds, you get 3 dribbles, and at that level, 3 dribbles is getting you beyond half
court.
court. It's beyond half court. He was on the other side. That's Steph Curry deep 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Almost 4 seconds, you get a walk-in 3.
Yeah.
But with that 3 seconds, I was like, it's over. I said that out loud, and then bam, man. It was crazy. It was a great shot, though. Epic. March Madness at its finest, so it was pretty dope.
Absolutely. So, yeah, shout out to the Baylor Bears and the Stanford Cardinals on their championship. So we will see what happens next year. I do look at, as far as this next draft coming up, there'll be some good talent coming into the draft. And for one, also, too, because we had this conversation over a year ago about the tournament being canceled, and I'm just so glad for these young men and young women to be able to actually play in a tournament. And you may not get that full March Madness crowd reaction whenever something happens, but there was enough crowd there for you to kind of at least get somewhat excited about that. So
and just kids is playing for something, man. Crowd or not, they it's a lot on the line.
Yeah.
So I like it.
And so speaking of crowds, MLB opening day did start a few days ago.
Oh, segue.
Segway King, Gunbar King, Segway King. Shout out Tay-Rock. So the Texas Rangers, they had their, I think it was about 40,000 fans or something like that was there at the Ranger Stadium. Of course, it was like, you got to wear your mask and all that. Nobody was wearing their masks, as we see. If we look all around, almost in any stadium, nobody's wearing their mask. And the Rangers said, oh, yeah, we're going to have social distancing throughout the ballpark, which is stupid because you're sitting next to a full-on stranger, which I don't get that. But yeah, so we'll see. I think slowly but surely, I think a lot of organizations, ball clubs are planning on opening everything up. Seems like people are going to start getting vaccinated more and more. I just saw something in California to where they plan on opening up, by June or July to have full capacity. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it was wild. And I think it's hilarious to your point, like, how are we social distancing when I'm sitting next to someone? And that's the thing about this whole thing is the social distancing is all cool and it works because you're not, but like the doctors all say you catch this virus by sitting in close proximity within 6 feet of someone for a extended amount of time. And that's exactly what you're doing at a baseball game. So, whatever.
I mean, yeah, so we'll see. So, all right, so NBA. We're getting into some NBA.
Let's go Lakers. Oh.
Kevin Durant.
What up?
And your boy,
Not
Mike,
my boy.
Nah, I know. Mike, did you see him on Undisputed, Michael Rappaport?
No, I refuse to watch him after that.
He is just, for one, you don't need to be releasing DMs like that. I mean, what are you? Everybody knows Kevin Durant is emotional is a safe word to say. Just emotional person. He's not gonna let you talk to him any type of way. Kevin Durant, the man has burner accounts. He'll defend himself. He'll defend others. Whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. But with him going on Michael Rappaport, going on Undisputed, and essentially like I go out to the park and people look at me funny, and I go to my coffee shop and people are making smirks at me and stuff. It's like, dude, shut up. And I think he said he was gonna get his lawyers on him or something like that. Like,
yeah, he's gonna sue him,
dude.
I mean, defamation of character. This is my whole problem with the situation. One, it's a violation of man code. Yes, you don't do that. But two, it's Michael Rappaport. He has a history of saying the most outlandish things to people. He has said things about Donald Trump. He has said things about countless other people that were just disrespectful, that were threats, because they're calling, when I see you, I'm going to spit in your face, a threat. It's just crazy that him, of all people, is the one who is crying about somebody responding to him. And I just hate that. Like, if you're going to talk that reckless, you have to be prepared for somebody to respond to you. And apparently these guys have a history together where, if you know Michael Rappaport and they've had conversations like these before, I don't understand why this one is the one that said, I'm going to go cost this man. I once called my friend $50,000, $100,000, however much it ends up costing Durant. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a $50,000 fine, but who knows as far as endorsements and, what little stuff he might miss out on in the future because of it. Is it worth that? I doubt it. And I think that's very, 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 very corny. So, whatever. I mean,
like, what are you expecting to get out of that? And then I wish you would watch it just because you're gonna laugh at him. They got Skip and what Shannon posts on his social media. Dude is just trying to like act like he's like fake crying. Like, I go to the coffee shop and they look at me funny and they make smirks. Like, dude, like, shut up.
But that's because you released it.
I mean,
nobody's looking at you like that if you keep it in the house, dude. You know what I'm saying? Or if you just go straight to your lawyers with it, which also is a weak move. But
exactly.
Oh, one last thing. Kevin Durant didn't say anything homophobic.
He just, called him a few B's and this and that.
He refused to, please the man.
Yeah.
But he didn't say it as if it was a bad thing.
Right.
He didn't use any slurs. So I don't understand why this cost him $50,000.
And now it's like, and that was something that I think that, just as guys, we'll talk back and forth or whatever, sometimes joking, sometimes we may take a little far. But I feel like now Kevin just should use this to just know, all right, I can't even joke around with nobody, or I can't even say what I truly feel, because if he called him, gay or fag or this or that or whatever, at that point, now you got a whole nother community coming for you and all that. So I just think it's unfortunate for somebody like Kevin to just like defend himself, to say what he feels. It's a DM, it's private, it's whatever.
And I just hate when people go out of their way. Michael Rappaport has nothing to do with sports. From what I understand, he's never played sports. He's not a professional journalist.
He's just a big Knicks fan. That's really all he is.
No. He's an actor. That's what he is. He's an actor. That's what he gets paid to do. So when you come out of your profession to talk about somebody else, how in the world are you upset when they actually respond to you?
Like, what exactly are you expecting to happen at that point? Like, nothing? Am I just supposed to sit there and take it? Like,
I don't know.
And I mean, shout out to Kevin. I mean, just because we all know Kevin's super feisty. He has, as I said earlier, burner accounts, this and that. He has no problem with expressing how he feels. He's, throughout his whole career, people have, just because he's smaller or he left Oklahoma City, go to Golden State, people want to call him soft and this and that. And
that has nothing to do with it.
I understand that, but a lot of people have, called the move soft or whatever the case is. But I mean, on the beast, Kevin Durant is the second best, if not the best player in the game right now. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense, and I don't know, like, man code violation 8, 9, 12, 34, number 1, everything.
Yeah. So it was whack.
Whack. So we'll go ahead and look at some of these. The playoffs actually start May 22nd. So we're inching closer and closer.
Are the Lakers gonna make the playoffs?
We're 5 seed right now. We dropped down. Denver passed us, so technically we're 6 games back. If the Grizzlies keep losing, Spurs keep losing, we have a shot. My biggest fear, I'm just a real fan. I understand that injuries happen, this and that. I understand. I know we made a signing recently today, but
Who's got signed today?
I just saw his name. I forgot. But anyways, so if we mess around and get into that 8 spot or that 7 spot, at that point we're either looking at playing Jazz, Suns, Clippers, even possibly the Nuggets could creep up there. That's what I'm looking at. I don't want that in the first round. And even still, the Jazz have the best record in the league. That's not saying that the Jazz aren't. Could we probably win in a 7-game series? Yeah, of course. But we need the chemistry to get back together with the guys playing, and I just don't want to see that first round, knowing that about 45 to 50 days away, the playoffs start. We still don't have AD back. LeBron's taking his time. LeBron could probably come back now if he wanted to, but that just what
Is that a fact, or is that how you feel?
LeBron, you've twisted your ankle before, so if it came down to it, I mean, I have too. If it came down to it and you really needed to play, you'd be fine.
But
it could alter you a little bit. But if LeBron needed to play right now through the rest of the season, 100%, I know he can play. AD cannot.
This is the difference, and I don't know why you say that.
Achilles.
17 seasons, we've seen LeBron have plenty rolled ankles, and he's played when he could.
Right.
So the fact that he's not playing tells me I don't think it's as cut and dry as you're trying to make it seem. Maybe if today was a playoffs, yeah, but I think if today was a playoffs, AD would also be playing.
I would. It's possibly, but
I
also
don't think I'm not saying they should. Either one of them should.
Right.
Be, but I mean, by what you're saying, I think in the playoffs, yeah, LeBron will be playing, but I also think AD would too. And we've seen LeBron with multiple tweaks and things like that he's played through. And the fact that he tried to right away and then hasn't been back since he tried to, I think it's telling.
I think he wants to keep that 10-point streak alive.
No, absolutely he wants to keep that alive.
And then from there, all right, I'm done.
But to my point, we've also seen LeBron continue throughout his career come back and play. We've seen it many times, hundreds of times probably at this point. He reties his shoes and he goes back and
go back, yeah.
And there was no difference, but this time
it probably was
different.
Right. It probably was a lot more, whatever the case is. High ankle, you never want to mess with it. So you can tie all you want to, but and he is a little bit older, so he kind of needs to take these injuries more seriously. I just know that if it came down to it and he needed to play, he will be fine and he'll play. So, but we know what LeBron does. We saw it 2 years ago with the injury with the groin. He took his time and it
completely different situation.
Well, no, I'm just
saying
saying
with Lonzo Ball and
I'm just saying
Brandon Ingram.
And we were 4th and we dropped down out of the playoffs when it came back.
Were they going to win a championship?
It's possible.
The answer is no.
Anytime you have LeBron on your team,
the correct answer is no.
Anything you have. By the way, the Nets. Harden was one that I think his hamstring is a little tweaked up, so he's going to be out the lineup for a little bit. But I mean, as a basketball fan, I love Kyrie with what he can do with the left-handed shots, the dribbles, the handles, everything. I love Kyrie, and I think now is the perfect time for him to showcase that. A lot of people, and me included, basically said that he was the third option, third best player. Now that they got James Harden, now he can show that he can lead this team with James Harden being out possibly a couple weeks or whatever with that hamstring. You don't think so?
No.
I've
seen the past 3 years. I've seen examples of why he cannot do that.
He's out to prove everybody right now.
So what? He's been out to prove. He has never gone out not to win games. He wasn't in Boston trying to win. He wanted to be the last person to ever wear number 11 in Boston and all this kind of stuff. So he's been trying to prove it. And I think the reason that he was okay with the James Harden trade, he was okay pairing up with KD, is because he's at a point in his career where
less work for him. He wants to win.
No, because he understands how hard it is to win, and that him being the best player isn't the most important part. Winning is the most important part. And I think they will struggle without James Harden. I mean, James Harden is playing at an MVP level. Assists, scoring, everything, rebounds, everything. So he is the engine that makes that train go in Brooklyn. James Harden is.
Yeah.
He gets those guys the ball in good spots,
And he was another one with the whole 10-point thing. I think he had about 2 or 3 points, but I think it's definitely like they're in a great position right now. One game or half a game ahead of the Sixers in the East, so they are. I think they'll be fine. They don't necessarily need to be the 1 seed. I mean, you're looking at playing the Celtics, who've been trash this year. Hornets without, huh?
No, finish what you're gonna say, and then I'll say what I was gonna say.
Hornets, who have obviously no Lonzo Ball, and I think Gordon Hayward, he's gonna be out for a little bit too as well. And
no Melo Ball.
What is it? Yeah, and then also to the Knicks, which the Knicks got a little fight in them, which we saw last night against the Brooklyn Nets.
I just want to harken back to a conversation we had on this
that one came from his soul
that we had on this podcast a few months back with 2 young ladies that go by the name of Pretty Privilege on their podcast.
Absolutely.
One, myself, mentioned a couple teams in the East. The first one was Brooklyn. The second one was the Sixers, to which you and those 2 beautiful young ladies did not like. And the third team I said is now in 4th place in the East is the Hawks. I'm just mentioning.
Well, don't forget to mention you also said Utah most likely probably wasn't going to be a playoff team.
I did.
So, all right.
Wash. Will they beat you guys in the first round?
Probably.
They will? I actually don't think so.
That's why I'm just, as a Laker, I'm just nervous. Just because with
you were nervous last year against the freaking
I'm nervous.
Whoever you guys played.
I'm a Chargers fan. Can you blame me? All right, so
yeah, because you guys just don't make the playoffs. But keep going.
Oh, no. We're gonna get into some. We'll get into the football and everything next after we get into our special guest. Like I said before, former Pro Bowler, played for the
Nuggets undefeated since the deadline. Shout out to Chad.
Yeah, whatever. Nobody cares about the Nuggets. So our guest, former Pro Bowler, still holds records for the Buffalo Bills. None other than Terrence McGee. What's up, Terrence? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate that nice intro you gave.
Yeah, man. You sound like you laying down, man. You good? You awake?
No, I'm not bad. No, I'm awake.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into it, man. So when you first arrived with the Bills organization, what was it like? Were you already walking in as a starter, or were you backup? What was your role like as you first jumped into the Bills organization?
Man, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I was a 4th round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
So just walking in there, I mean, I didn't really expect to play much. I think I was trying to learn the system, trying to be comfortable, trying to make sure I don't get cut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just wanted, to fit in and make sure, I at least had a place when the season started. So, but I actually got to play a lot as a nickel.
Okay.
As a nickel, so I played nickel my first year.
Okay. All right. And so now, when did you start doing punt and kick return and all that? Were you as a rookie? Did you do that, or when did that come into play?
Well, it's kind of funny. My first year, they kind of brought me in as a kind of a special teamer. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My first year. My problem I was having, I guess, was they didn't really trust me out there.
Yeah.
Because when I was in college, I was mainly a punt returner.
Okay.
So when they brought me in as a punt returner, like during practice and stuff, I was having trouble just catching the ball. They was kicking the ball a lot higher than everything. So I really wasn't adjusting to it well. So I did it in preseason a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't drop any balls, but they wasn't really catching. So he didn't put me out for a first thing because he didn't put me out there.
Yeah.
I didn't trust him enough, and honestly, I knew why. So my next year is when I got to actually do it, and it was because we had a new special teams coach, and he remembered me because he coached in the same conference that I was in when I was in college.
Okay.
At Northwestern. So he was like, hey man, I think you could be like real good back then. I remember you from college, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I want to give you a chance. So in my head, I'm like, man, you know, I hope Black catch the ball. So he didn't put me on punt return. He put me on kickoff return.
Okay.
So smooth transition. But something I really never did because, like I said, I was more punt return.
Right.
And he believed me. Like, he used to be like, man, I think you go to Pro Bowl doing this. I was like, yeah, man, I just really want to be able to catch this ball and hope I don't fumble.
Right.
So, and you know, my first year, I mean, went to them and, but we had like a great team, man. Guys went out there really, you know, blocked it. They really took pride in blocking for me. So, yeah, my first year doing kickoff return, went to the Pro Bowl.
I'm sure you do, but do you remember your first touchdown as a returning kicks?
Yeah, my first one was against the Patriots. I almost had one before that game, but my first one it was against the Patriots, and actually what happened in that game too. So I was still nickel.
Okay.
Troy Vincent got hurt during the game, so that's when I started starting as a corner. I went in and started corner. So I was starting corner the game, and my first, you know, return was that game too, man. So it was exciting. Yeah, we still lost, but you know, it was, my mom was there. She was able to see it, so you know, it was.
That always means a lot. Yeah.
Nice. Hey, Terrence, man, this is the other Marlon, bro. I got a question for you, and I wanted to take it back a little bit before that, maybe Northwestern State, or even back in high school. When did you know, or when did it click for you that you had a shot at the league? Like, when was that a thought in your head where you was like, oh, dang, I could actually be a pro and make a living out of this thing?
Yeah, it never clicked. I tell people this story like all the time. Like, even I quit football at one point. I was like, man, I'm not gonna get scholarship, at this. I was decent, but I just wasn't. I didn't feel like I get any look. So I played football and baseball in high school, so I just stuck with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is like I still had that itch, like, hey man, let me go next year. It was my senior, no, it was my junior year. I quit my sophomore year. My junior year, I was like, you know what, man, I think I can just go out there. So once I graduate, I just won't have no regrets. Looking back, be like, man, I wish I would have played my junior and senior year. So I ended up playing my junior year. Did decent. We had a whole career. I think it was 2-8, something like that. Did decent. I had like the first team all district was decent. So my next year, like I said, I'm not thinking scholarship. I'm not thinking anything really.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to play. But I said, man, you know what? I want to be all state this year. But I didn't put any work into making that happen. It's like I just really said it to myself. So I never did any, extra workouts and nothing like that to dedicate myself to being all state. But it's in my head. I was all state.
Right.
I was a quarterback. They would bring me in on special plays, like reversing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Real decent at that. Probably like one of those games. So I was running back ended up getting hurt like the third game of the season. So we really had no options. So my coach told me, he was like, man, you just gonna go ahead. Throw you back up. So
Just gonna throw you in there.
it ended up. He said, "What?"
I said, just gonna throw you in there.
Yeah, just throw me in there.
Yeah.
Like I said, the first is that I kind of got some yards every time I did it, but it was
Right.
spectacular nothing. So when I did it, it just like kind of took off. Like I was actually good at it. And then on the other side, I had like, I forgot that year, I probably had over 1,000 yards and had like 7 or 8 interceptions. Problem with that is my senior year. Most kids, they've already been looked at as scouts. They kind of, know what school they're going to go to and stuff like that. So it was just like, I did well for my senior year, but I didn't really think I was going to get, any scholarships or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
So I was just, maybe I'd go to community college because I was from Athens, so they had like QC, but I was like, maybe I could go over there and try out for that or something like that. So slowly, like, I just put that sign in there because I think he signed in February. Season was over in November. Like a couple colleges would come through or whatever. So I'm gonna skip. I don't know how long this show is, so I'm gonna skip to me picking Northwestern. So basically, I kind of went to Northwestern just because of and
Okay.
I know somebody there, and seemed like they were the most interested in me out of all the schools. You know, so they really wasn't putting no pressure on me like other schools were. So
So,
that's why I ended up going there. Now I'm thinking, like I said, hey, now I just got 4 more years. I don't have to worry about work.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Hello.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all I said.
Okay, so you get drafted. You get drafted to the Bills. With you being from out here, obviously you'd want to play for Dallas. I'm sure that's probably was a dream of yours. But what was your thought process like going to Buffalo, like playing outside in 2-degree weather? Like, what was your thought process as you got
Oh
drafted?
yeah.
And had you ever played in that kind of weather before?
You got to break it up. Well, yeah. So the draft process, I remember I think I told my mom, and I was like, hey, man, it's just 2 teams I would never want to go to. Green Bay, and Buffalo.
Oh man.
So draft day, I got drafted on the second day, the 4th round. So that Sunday, I went to sleep. So I'm asleep, and my uncle called me before that. Kind of like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so they called me, like, hey man, the New York Giants, they about to draft you. I'm just letting you know. I'm thinking, how the hell do you even know that?
Right.
So I was like, all right, man. So I went back to sleep. So when the phone rang again, and the dude, he was like, got what he said, but I was thinking it was the Giants. So he was just like, hey man, this is Buffalo Bills. I was like, oh, hey. So, he was like, did I catch you sleeping? I was like, yeah, man, I was asleep. But it was like one of the things where like, I'm happy I got drafted somebody too, but it's like, man, I don't want to play in that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it's like one of the things. I mean, it's in your head, but once you get out there, I mean, it's no different about Miami.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the juicy stuff. So who was the hardest receiver? You're juicy.
Look,
Yeah.
I thought you was about to go a whole different way with that question, bro. You gotta,
Oh, I got some stories. I got some stories, but we won't talk about them though. So, who was one of the hardest receivers you ever have to guard or cover?
Man, honestly, when I get asked this question, I just say, man, every Sunday was hard.
Yeah.
Because every team has a number 1 receiver.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like every Sunday was hard. Now the people who just stuck out to me, I'll say is Randy Moss.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay.
Ocho Cinco, guys like that. But every week was hard. Man. Every week was hard.
yeah, I believe it, man. You just thinking about that era. That's it's dang near a golden era, if you will, for receivers with the Ocho Cincos, the Randy Moss, the T.O.s, Brandon Marshall was in that era, I believe. But yeah,
Brandon Marshall.
that's
Brandon Marshall was man. Like I even got to see guys like Marvin Harrison and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Wow.
matter of fact, I guarded Jerry Rice when he was with Seattle.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
so you've seen a little bit of everything, different styles, different sizes. You got the whole size gamut there too, with Jerry Rice to Brandon Marshall at 6'4", 6'5". So that's crazy, man. That's every night, and they say that's one of the hardest positions to play on the field. How you feel about that?
man, outside from the quarterback position, it's most definitely the hardest position to me. You know what I'm saying? And people don't realize just how hard, it is out there. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of guys, like, when you look at certain quarterbacks, you be like, man, that quarterback's like amazing. But you got to think too, most quarterbacks that are real good quarterbacks, they're on a good team.
Yeah,
It's
true.
really
And in a good system.
It's really a team sport.
Yeah.
You got, guys rushing, blitzing, quarterback trying to get out their hands, guys who are covering well. Like it's a whole team, type thing. I got to make sure my coverage is tight so the rushers can get to the quarterback.
Right.
The rushers got to get to the quarterback, to make the throw, not the best throw. So, yeah, it's definitely a team sport. I think people kind of forget. They kind of single guys, single guys out.
And it's one of those things that, like, even the mental side of it, like, for example, you brought up the defensive line. The defensive lineman could be getting killed all game and get 2 sacks, and all of a sudden he had a good game. You guys are like the opposite end of the spectrum. You could be shutting the receiver down the whole game, and they jiggle free, get a lucky touchdown or something like that. Now all of a sudden you might be on, the first clip on SportsCenter getting scored on.
Right. Nah, that's most definitely, man. And then it's even, like you said, I mean, the eyes really, on the secondary, really, especially with the deep passes and stuff like that, and touchdown passes. So, it's really watching it, because people don't really realize, like, there's so much that goes wrong on every play. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see it the next day watching film. Guys laughing at each other, man, what do you think of doing this? You know what I'm saying? But that goes wrong on every play.
Yeah, no, we saw Earl Thomas want to fight one of his safeties for something like that in practice last year, but that's very true, man, and it's not something that the casual watcher, myself either, like we know we casual sports fans at the end of the day, but you don't notice all the nuances that go on every play. So that's crazy you mentioned that.
So I'll ask you this. So I know you had your first one, and sometimes they say your first touchdown is your best touchdown, but I know you had a touchdown against Dallas. I believe you had. I got to get to the good stuff. So did just knowing that you had, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had a touchdown. It was actually here in Dallas. What is there a score that just meant so much to you?
And it might have been a Monday night, okay?
No, it wasn't in Dallas. It was in Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Monday night. It was Monday night game in Buffalo.
Yeah. So.
But I would say it's probably a handful of special plays and special touchdowns. And I would say the Dallas game really meant more to me because, I have an older brother that's been locked up since '93. And he really only can see, Dallas and Houston games. So when he plays Dallas, he's able to watch those games.
Yeah.
He wasn't really able to watch all my games. So, definitely any time we played Dallas, it was a handful of times. I was so nervous because, I just want to, make him proud and because I know he's watching. So any Dallas game definitely meant a lot. And probably the only other one, the two other ones would be, I think we played Cincinnati, like the day before Christmas, or it was a Christmas game.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like a kickoff return touchdown and an interception touchdown. Which at the time, I think it still is, like, NFL record for having 2 touchdowns that way, I guess, in a single game.
Nice.
And the other one would be probably one of my best returns that I did score on, which would be the Saints. We played the Saints in San Antonio because of Hurricane
Katrina, okay.
So, that's probably one of the best returns I've ever did, and I was 5 yards short.
I think I watched an interview where you're talking about that, and then you misjumped or something?
Yeah, because I was so tired, and I was running all over the place. So by the time I got to the guy, I was trying to time my jump, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a few more questions for you. And this is great podcasting because I forgot what I was going to say.
Don't worry, I got one. You were able to spend your whole career in Buffalo, and Buffalo has resurfaced with Allen and with Diggs this year. Are you still a avid like Buffalo fan, or are you pulling for somebody else? The Cowboys maybe year in year out. But no, I want you to speak more to what the Bills are doing now and how you like seeing that growth and really a young core they have up there.
You want my honest answer?
Yeah, man, honestly.
You want to give you the narrative.
Hey, look, we don't have enough people subscribe to our channel just yet where you got to be PC, so you still good.
Gotcha. No, for a while, man, I really wasn't watching football like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess just playing, and then once you're not playing, it was kind of hard to watch it. So I really wasn't watching Buffalo like that. Or anything.
Just football in general?
Right.
Yeah. Because I know really with your career, I mean, obviously with injuries, it led to you retiring early, but Did you get any looks after that? I believe it was 2009 season or so.
Yeah, so my last year was 2012. So during that 2013, February 2013, that's when I was released from Buffalo. So that year, I had went to, Bill Belichick called me. I went to Patriots. Didn't work out.
Okay.
And pretty much like every place I went to 3 workouts. I went to the Patriots, I went to Miami, and then I had one for the Saints. And pretty much people, they told me the same thing. They was like, hey man, you know, you still looking good, still looking decent, but you like to me, I couldn't really pass the distance.
Yeah.
So I remember the Saints guys, the doctor told me that, man, I mean, you can go out there if you want to, but you'll do the workout, but I'm not going to pass you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Damn.
So it was just one of the, especially after that Saints, it's like, man, I can't get up, man. When the doctor told me that, I was like, yeah, it's going to hang up. But for that year, 2013, I was still trying to at least squeeze one more year out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, but even 8-9 years in the league, that's a lot longer than the average. And like Marlon said when we opened the show, it looks like you still got 5 records with the Bills, man. So, I mean, yeah, we always want to go a little bit further, but I think you did your thing, man. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. That's the thing, though. My 10 years there, my last 4, I was pretty much on IR.
Okay.
I get myself healthy again, then also a big injury. Get myself healthy again, big injury. I think that's what hurt me like the most, like mentally, once I was released. Because you watching football and stuff like that, because it's just like I fought back every time, and just for this to happen in my career like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, like I wanted to have at least one healthy season to end it like I wanted to.
Yeah, on your terms. Yeah, I feel you on that. That's real.
Yeah.
So I know we've had some we've raced a few times in the past where I got like.
Wait. You know, I didn't really answer the original.
Okay.
About Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go back to it now.
Yeah. If you watch
ahead,
them, if you're
go
not
ahead.
watching them, man, you ain't gotta answer it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, like I said, I really wasn't watching football at the time, but now, like, cause I still go back to the city, so now, like, people, you know, fans, they going crazy, you know, they done brought their energy back and stuff like that, so I like what I'm, you know what I'm saying, what I'm seeing now, you know what I'm saying, and the town, like I said, is definitely energized and stuff like that, but for a while, I was not a Buffalo fan, I just really wasn't watching Buffalo like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and you invited us to, you know, me and the wife and other people just out to a game, and we never made it. So I'm pissed that we were never able to go and just see that environment. I just think, regardless, I think if they're decent record like this year or with you guys, like you guys just always had, well, Buffalo always had just some diehard fans, and I would just love to, you know, been in that, you know, arena, that environment, you know, with over 50 degrees. But I would have loved to.
Right. We still from San Diego.
It's still not too late, man. I mean, I won't be out there, but
Yeah. So we've had a few races in the past. He gave me like a 15-yard head start and run 40. He still beat me. But now I feel like I'm a little bit faster. I know you're in shape still, but if you could run a 40 right now, do you think you can at least scratch that 4.6, 4.7 speed?
oh no, man. Man, I don't know about I think it's about 5.7 or something like that. Like it wouldn't be that yet.
Yeah.
I know now, like, you know what I'm saying. Now it's over. Like I can't even. Honestly, I can play a flag football game at this point.
Yeah. And then we used to play that. He'd run circles around us and all that stuff. So, but Terrence, it's been great, man. I appreciate you. We'll get together soon, grab some drinks, and yeah, man. I know your favorite spot, so we'll go there.
All right, for sure. All right, I appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate you for coming on, man.
All right,
man. My boy, my homie.
That's funny, man. Hey, why you don't never tell people how I used to do you? Like when we would play
Pause.
basketball. When we play basketball.
I remember the Madden.
That too.
Yeah, when I used to trust me, you wasn't that nice in Madden. Like you were
Cut.
okay.
Cut.
You were okay.
What?
We had back and forth. It was
No.
it was.
Caroline,
we didn't
if
have
you're
no back and
watching,
forth.
I know you're not, but he gonna be home a little late.
I ain't played Madden.
Oh,
in
now
like,
I got the
I ain't
excuse.
played Madden in like 5. I don't
No,
got a
okay,
console.
that's cool,
I got
that's
a
cool.
PS3 I ain't even
That's
touched
cool.
in years. So
I understand.
uh,
I would say that too. That's what I would have said if y'all would have brought me into the race. Oh man, you know, I used to beat everybody, but I ain't raced in 3
we
years.
didn't really do too much basketball together. It was really all Madden.
You know, we played. So I understand.
How
why you
long
remember
ago was this?
when you tried to play?
Yeah, basketball wasn't my thing. But anyways, man, let's reel this on back in.
We got nothing to talk about. Oh, the draft. Oh, we do got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's not too much, man. For one, I know this is a little off topic, but it somewhat deals with football. Some say on football, but Deshaun Watson, I'm nervous for you. It's not looking good. You got 22 women out there, 2 of them out there speaking. I hope none of it's true. I hope you got just 22 people that just want a money grab. You know, I know you seem like a good young brother that would just sit there and just get your body rubbed and you leave, but it's not looking good.
So this is. Let me start by saying. Let me start by saying this, and I'm laughing at the comments. Definitely not at the topic at hand. But if Deshaun Watson did these things that are being alleged, he's a nasty man and should be in trouble for it, right? Some of the stories that I'm hearing are kind of nasty manish, but we have to let this play out. We haven't heard much from him. I actually heard.
Go ahead, sorry.
No. I'm just saying, like, he hasn't said much other than, through spokespeople saying basically, he's innocent.
Right.
The one thing and the biggest thing that bothers me about this is none of this came out until he asked for a trade. It happens to be the lawyer lives next door to the owner of the Texans, the owner of the Texans from who he wants to be traded from. So that's kind of crazy to me. And I think the only way that this is true is if the Houston Texans knew about it. And if the Houston Texans knew about it, they're just as liable for this as Deshaun Watson himself. It doesn't
Think they knew about it?
I think they had to know about it. There's no way they didn't know about this.
Wow.
Because again, Houston Texans owner lives next door to the lawyer who's suing him, and all of a sudden he knows exactly where to find 22 people? What? Come on, man. And it doesn't make Deshaun Watson any less nastier if it's true. But if they knew about it, they need to be held even more accountable than him, in my book.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was listening to just a random station, and they're basically saying that the Panthers still want to try to go after Deshaun, and I'm like, dude might not even be there. Like, so depending on what plays, I just
No, he'll be fine. This is only a civil lawsuit.
I understand that.
So there's no guilty or not guilty to the sexual allegation. There aren't even charges, so we can't even call them charges. There's no. We've seen civil lawsuits before. Nobody's ever gotten suspended because of them.
Okay. I just hope. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't true. That's just all I gotta say about that.
And
but
if my assumptions are true, the Houston Texans are like a scorned ex. Like,
you know what? I want
misery loves company.
I want to remember this conversation, and because if this goes back to the Texans knowing, this is gonna be ugly. This is gonna be ugly.
Bro, he's a franchise player. He's probably not even scheduling his own massages, bro.
This is gonna be ugly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's.
All right, so we'll see. We'll definitely see what plays out, how it plays out, all that. So going into the draft, the Niners, they did trade up. Now they're saying they're linked. Even before after the trade happened, they're saying still Jimmy Garoppolo's still the guy, which I don't know what team would still. I mean, you have to say the right thing, So but
Ask the Packers.
we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. So And now they're saying Mac Jones is the guy. I like Mac. I think he's
I think he's a statue in the pocket, but he's not Tom Brady.
Well, of course, who is Tom Brady?
Well, what other statues in pockets are being successful in the NFL right now?
I mean, you're gonna compare somebody who's gonna get drafted to Tom Brady?
I'm going to compare him to the only other person that plays like him left in the NFL. Who else?
Yeah.
No, there's nobody left. It's a different league. He's a sitting duck behind a bad jet.
More like a Peyton, like kind of like a quarterback like that.
Okay, so you can't compare him to Tom, but you want to compare him to.
I'm just thinking
I'm
just thinking of other quarterbacks that are like that. But I mean, we'll see. I'm very curious to see what happens with Garoppolo. I'm curious to see what happens with Russell and the Seahawks, because the trade has not happened yet. So whether it's the Bears, the Cowboys, obviously you guys have your guys. So now what happens with Russ? And I think that relationship.
I don't think we're out of it.
That relationship. I can't think that the Joneses would sign Dak to a contract and press conference and all that, and then from there shoo him out of here and trade him. I don't. Something in me just wants to say that they can't be that. But here's the thing.
Well, I never thought I would see Michael Rappaport cry about somebody yelling at him back. So
yeah,
he will do things that we don't expect sometimes. And all I'm saying is the only reason I say that is because now the contracts match more than the trade did before.
But does it make sense for Seattle to trade for Dak? Yes, he's younger, but when you come off of that injury, does it make sense for Seattle to do it?
I don't know.
And I mean, would draft picks, be put in at that point? Would you add somebody else? And truthfully, if Dak did go, I'm not saying Dak would be in a better situation, but I don't. But Dak has too hell of a duo as far as a receiver out there. So
he doesn't have a hell of a trio here.
But I'm just saying, if he goes, you're not hearing me. I'm saying if he goes, you're still not in you're not in a horrible situation if you go.
No, I don't think.
I don't think Seahawks will make that trade. But
I think Russell Wilson's in an even better situation if he was to come here. Me personally.
Yeah. So that relationship, I'm very intrigued. But yeah, so Russell. I mean, I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. In the whole, do you see him in Jeopardy? Like, I like it. It's a good fit. You have him. You have his humor.
I just saw the part where they asked him whose decision was to kick the field goal.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he was like, "Yeah, it was a great question," and but I love that. And he was actually saying that they recorded like 5 times a day, and out of 5 times a day for like 46 days or something like that.
Oh, so he's the host on Jeopardy.
So he shot. I don't know if he was Celebrity Jeopardy or if he did like a full season and did it. So, but some people were saying like, you should retire and do that. And he's like, I just want the MVP. Like, I still got a lot left in the tank.
I'm so stupid.
I mean, but
why the hell will he retire?
But
because Jordan Love.
But but also too. I mean, it's more so like a slap in the face. Like, some of the weapons that we need. We need another solid receiver. We can use a solid tight end, maybe some help on the defense, and you draft a back. What was that? I think
they haven't drafted an offensive player in the first round since Aaron Rodgers has been there, except for Jordan Love.
Since
he's been a starter.
I understand as an organization you may want to think post Rodgers, but you have somebody that still has proven day in and day out that he can be that person to get you there. We just got to get over the hump.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in a situation like Tom Brady where he goes somewhere else.
I would love that. I would, just because I just feel like they haven't done right by Rodgers, and he's had weapons. We had Jordy when Cobb was in his prime and Devontae came up.
But do you see the first name you said?
Jordy. Jordy was a legit number 1 receiver.
Oh.
Was he not? Jordy Nelson was solid. Those two, Jordy, and which is why I was when they let him go and didn't re-sign him. I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? I understand you wanted to make Devontae the guy, but Jordy
because Devontae's a legit number 1.
I understand.
And he's something that Jordy Nelson was never.
I understand.
That's why
Jordy had some knee injuries. I get that, but the connection, the chemistry they had was untouchable. Jordy and Aaron Rodgers was probably up there. I'm telling you, and then he ended up going to the Raiders and then retired a year after. But Jordy
Tony Romo and Beasley had an amazing connection, doesn't mean Beasley was a legit number one receiver or a Super Bowl contending number
Okay,
one
but
receiver.
Beasley, we know Beasley wasn't a number one receiver.
And neither was
Jordan-
Jordy Nelson.
Jordy was never a number one receiver.
He was their number one receiver, yes. But he was never that's because of what else they had. Like we just said, they never drafted anybody on offense in the first round.
Jordy was a solid number one. Randall was a solid number two. Devontae came in, solid number three. They obviously saw something. For one, they just didn't want to pay Jordy, which it's an organization. I get it, whatever. But Jordy Nelson was a solid number one.
Was his
Exactly.
number one receiver for the last.
He's a number one receiver.
I'm not saying he wasn't his number one receiver. There's nothing to argue there. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean he was a top 10 receiver in the NFL at any time.
I guarantee he was. I will put money on that. Jordy Nelson, because Rodgers made Jordy Nelson. They both had.
Okay.
They have some of the best chemistry ever. Like, put some respect on Jordy's name.
I was just watching
man.
the I Am Athlete podcast, and Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, was talking about how he had a 1,400-yard season and then demanded a trade from Cincy. And the next year he had 500 yards, 580 yards. A quarterback can make or break you, yes. I'm just saying, even when Ocho Cinco had 591 yards, he was still better than Jordy Nelson. That's what I'm saying. I don't care what your numbers look like. You have a way better quarterback than Ocho Cinco ever played with. But that doesn't mean you're better than Ocho Cinco because you have better numbers because you played with Aaron Rodgers. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't better than Ocho. He wasn't better than Marvin Harrison. He wasn't better than Megatron. He wasn't better than
I'm
Andre
not
Johnson.
trying to put him up there with those guys, but to say he wasn't top 10, he was.
I'm starting to name 10 guys.
Go ahead, keep going.
Marvin Harrison.
He wasn't.
Never mind.
He wasn't
Never
really
mind.
around.
Y'all
No,
got
keep
it.
going,
Y'all
keep
got
going,
it.
keep
Y'all
going,
got
keep going.
You got it.
Keep
No, it's
going.
It's cool, bro.
No, it's not cool. Keep going.
Sorry.
Keep going.
Go. He's a Hall of Famer, right?
Let's just look at his touchdowns.
You're looking at numbers that Aaron Rodgers.
It don't matter. It does not matter. So you got 15 touchdowns in 2011, 7 touchdowns in 2012, which he only played 10 games in that one. 2013, 11, 2014, 18 touchdowns. Get out of here.
That's cool.
And then on top of that,
that's what Devontae Adams had this year too.
And then okay, great.
Oh, okay.
And then on top of that,
So what are you telling me?
2016, 13 touchdowns. Put some in his last season, obviously hurt 5 touchdowns. Dude had 85
18,
touchdowns.
5, 13, 10, 12. So what? They're playing with Aaron Rodgers, bro.
5 touchdowns in his career. That's all I gotta say. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's the greatest of all time. Do that in 1 year, 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards. Like, just put some respect in the guy's name.
Let me ask you this.
What?
Let me ask you this.
You got
Can I
some
ask you a
Jordan?
question?
You got some Jordan?
Can I ask you a
Go
question?
ahead.
Does Marvin Harrison have as many touchdowns as he had in his career with Matt Schaub as his quarterback? Why do you have to think about it?
We're talking about Jordy Nelson. All
right, guys. I'm out of here.
Why do you dislike the guy so much? His
I'm just stating facts. You don't want to answer my question.
85 touchdowns is facts.
Great. How many of those?
85 in his
came
career.
from somebody other than Aaron Rodgers?
He was in Green Bay his whole career, so
okay.
5.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Like, what's
All right,
what's
guys.
your issue?
Thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate you.
Wow. Jordy Nelson is a solid number 1 in Green Bay. He would have been, in his prime, he would have been a solid number 1 for any team. So, yeah.
Yeah, when your number 1 is Vincent Jackson for the Chargers, I agree. But like I said, there's 10 guys better than him in his era. Every year.
I'll give you time to Google.
I don't want to. I'm done.
Okay, man.
Why would I Google? You can't even answer my question.
What's your question?
Would Marvin Harrison have as many touchdowns as he had, or as many yards if Matt Schaub was his
He
quarterback?
might. Marvin is legit.
All right.
For those of you listening to other podcasts, Marlon got up, he left. Jordy Nelson is a solid receiver. I don't know why he hates him. I don't know why he dislikes him. This now would just be the Just Marlon podcast. All right, so we will see what goes on with the draft. We also will have we'll work on the simulcast with Dwayne with Sports School. The draft, I believe, is April 29th, so we will see what happens with that. Justin Fields. I think a lot of people thought that Justin Fields may go to. I don't think he'll go that high, but Justin Fields will probably end up going to a team like Detroit. Obviously, you know that Jared Goff is not going to be the guy. But yeah, also to Atlanta. I think Atlanta needs a quarterback too as well. When you look at with Matt Ryan, I know that the GM and Matt Ryan aren't too happy with each other, so we'll see if they maybe go with a guy like Trey Lance. We'll see what happens with that. And also too with Sam Darnold. He was traded to the Panthers, so that's going to be something to look out for too as well. So with the Jets, I think you obviously know that they're going with the quarterback, so they could also look at the kid at BYU, Wilson. They can look at that. So we'll see. And then we said before, Mac Jones. That's what they're linking those together with Mac Jones to San Francisco. So we will see what that. Yeah, Brian, he left me. It's all good though. I do this by myself. Let's go. So we will try and get and also to with the Cowboys. Cowboys got to pick too early. They obviously need defense. Cowboys offensively, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. You got to have somebody on defense. You need whether it's a corner, and I mean the Chargers too. So we definitely need a corner too as well. But we will definitely keep you guys updated on that on the simulcast, and we will go from there. So Marlon is angry. He's quiet. I love when I get him riled up. Put some respect on Jordy Nelson's name. Other than that, we will catch you guys next week, maybe the week after. But other than that, shout out to Baylor for winning. Shout out to Stanford for getting that win too as well. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace!
Bulletproof, 'cause I know niggas wanna murder me. I never heard of you, I know you heard of me. And that's the part that make your head hurt.